Welcome to part 1.3 of the Time Elements module. In this section, we will explore some example applications of the three rules that you learned in part 1. To recap, rule number 1 instructs us to rearrange the time elements according to the length of time it represents, starting from the longest down to the shortest. Next is rule number 2. This rule tells us to mention the numerical values first before the time element. And lastly, rule number 3 says that the numerical value for the year time element should be read separately per digit. So, in case you're still confused about these rules, please pause this audio and try to rewatch part 1.1 and part 1.2 just in case you missed anything. If after watching the previous parts and you still feel like you are confused, please write down your questions and send them to me after watching this video. In this section, we will be going over some more examples on how to apply all of these three rules. So the first example is, today is December 1, 2020. So in this sentence, there are three elements here: the month, the day, and the year. So now let's apply the rules we have learned. Rule number 1 tells us to rearrange the time elements from longest to shortest. So our example now becomes 2020 December 1. Then next is rule number 2, which says number first before the time element. So 2020 becomes 2020 year. Next, December now becomes 12 month or 十二月. 十二月. And lastly, day 1 becomes 1 then day or 一日. 一日. So, with rule number 1, our example becomes 2020 December 1, and applying rule number 2, that becomes 2020 年 or year, 十二月 or month, 一日 for the day. Now lastly, we apply rule number 3. Because our example has a year time element, we separate the numerical value of this year into each digits. So 2020 becomes 2020. So if we put all of that together from year, month, and day, December 1, 2020, which is our example, becomes 2020年十二月一日. Okay? 2020年十二月一日. And now that we have the date, let's take a look at the phrase today is. We learned from part 1 that the word for today is 今天, 今天, 今天. And now we learned that the phrase today is 今天是. 今天是. So then we just plug in the date. So the sentence now becomes 今天是2020年十二月一日. Again, 今天是 2020年12月1日. So there we have it. So that's our example number 1. Good job, everyone. Next example is Christmas is on December 25. Again, we'll be applying the rules that we have learned. So rule number 1, rearranging the time elements. Fortunately, in this example, it is already arranged in the correct sequence. So month then day. So December 25 remains as December 25. Then next we apply rule number 2. So December again becomes 12 month or 12月. And then day 25 becomes 25 day or 25日. 25日. So that's for rule number 2. And then rule number 3 is not applicable here because there is no year time element in this sentence. So if we put all of that together, December 25 becomes 12月25日. 12月25日. Great. Now that we have the date, let's take a look at the phrase Christmas is on. So we learned previously that the word Christmas is 圣诞节. 圣诞节. So for the phrase Christmas is on, we just add the word 是 at the end of 圣诞节. So it becomes 圣诞节是. Okay? Then the third example, So then we just plug in the date so that the full sentence becomes 圣诞节是12月25日. 圣诞节是12月25日. Great. Now let's move on to the third example. My birthday is on May 5, 1999. So again, rule 1 wants us to rearrange the time elements. So our example now becomes 1999, May 5. Then applying rule 2, the year 1999 becomes 1999 year. Then the month May becomes 5 month or 5月. 5月. And lastly, the day 5 becomes 5 day or 5日. 5日. Then moving on to rule number 3, we separate each digit of the year 1999 into 1999. So that's 1999. Again, 1999. So putting all of that together, our example is now 1999 May 5, which is read as 1999年5月5日. 1999年5月5日. Great. So now that we have the date again, let's take a look at the phrase my birthday is on. We learned in our pronouns lesson that my is 我的. And then in part 1.2, we also learned that birthday is 生日,生日. So for the phrase my birthday is on, it becomes 我的生日是我的生日是. Then next, we just plug in the date. So the full sentence now becomes 我的生日是1999年5月5日. Let's repeat that. 我的生日是1999年5月5日. Great. So that's it for our module this week. We have covered the three basic rules for saying the date in Chinese. We also learned some new words and some new sentence structures. If you have any questions at all, please send me a message by replying to the email where you received this module. And on the last page of that handout, please read the instructions for Output 11. The items will actually be very similar to the examples we just had, and the instructions will also be on the last page. So that sums up our week. I look forward to receiving your outputs. Please send them to me on time. Thank you and good luck.